Alvin Bragg better be watching his back because they're coming after him now. You guys got to check this out.
Yeah, I want to thank everyone for joining us. We apologize for the delay. The Democrats have an important caucus they're at, or conference they're at, and we had some technical difficulties here. We'll now Chair now recognize himself for an opening statement. Alvin Bragg's prosecution of President Trump is lawfare at its worst. The New York County District Attorney's Office began investigating President Trump in 2018. Southern District of New York months later concluded its investigation into the payments by Michael Cohen and determined no charges should be brought against President Trump. While this was going on, Alvin Bragg was running for the job. While on the campaign trail, Mr. Bragg boasted about the number of times he had already sued President Trump. In January 2021, Mr. Bragg stated, "I'm the candidate in the race who has the experience with Donald Trump," close quote. He said that it'd be hard to argue with the fact that any case against President Trump would be the most important, most high-profile case. Mr. Bragg won and took office in January 2022. A few weeks after taking office, he told one of his prosecutors, Mark Pomerantz, quote, he could not see a world in which he would indict President Trump and call Michael Cohen as a prosecution witness. That's right, after campaigning on going after the former president, Bragg gets into office and realizes the case against President Trump is ridiculous. That is why the Southern District of New York didn't bring it. It's why his predecessor, Cy Vance, didn't bring it. Why did Bragg change his mind? Mark Pomerantz, Special Assistant District Attorney, resigned in protest, and he and his fellow Assistant District Attorney, Kerry Dunn, leaked their resignation letter to the New York Times. After that, the left began the pressure campaign on Alvin Bragg, and suddenly the zombie case was resurrected. One of the first things Alvin Bragg did was hire Matthew Colangelo, a top official in the Biden Justice Department who had a history of taking on President Trump and his family's businesses. It's also interesting to note who Mr. Colangelo listed as his references when he applied for the job at the Justice Department. He listed Tom Perez, former DNC chair, and Jeff Zients, who is now President Biden's chief of staff.
That is freaking bonkers, because the fact is, it's not just some rogue prosecutor that's going after Trump. No. This isn't just some guy that has beef with Trump and he's going after him. This comes from the very freaking top of the Democratic Party. Joe Biden's chief of staff was listed as a reference from one of the key guys going after Donald Trump. Are you kidding me? Is that not a conflict of interest? Isn't the law supposed to be blind? We can't be targeting individuals because you don't like them. That is completely contrary to everything that is sacred about the justice system, which I guess is why Donald Trump calls it the injustice system, because these people are just straight up crooks.
And the Biden White House chief of staff, those were his references. That's the guy who went to work to be the lead prosecutor on the case against President Trump. Alvin Bragg, Matthew Colangelo picked their target, searched for a crime, and then they prosecuted President Trump. The partisan DA that campaigned on going after President Trump, whose newly hired lead prosecutor for the case also had a history of taking on President Trump, also had their case in front of a partisan judge. A judge who donated to President Biden, who imposed a gag order on President Trump, who told the jury they didn't need to reach a unanimous decision, and prevented one of our witnesses today, Mr. Smith, an expert on campaign finance, from giving real testimony to the court. Today, Mr. Smith will be given an opportunity to tell Congress and tell the country what he wasn't permitted to tell the court, what he wasn't permitted to tell the jury. Remember, Bragg and Colangelo bootstrapped charges that are normally misdemeanors to some underlying crime to make the charges a felony. But what was the underlying crime? Prosecutors didn't reveal that until after the trial began. Mr. Colangelo, in his opening statement, accused President Trump of violating the Federal Elections Campaign Act. But the problem is, in the plain reading of that act doesn't support the indictment or the verdict. As Commissioner Smith stated, allowing this prosecution to go forward and the ultimate jury decision threaten the enforcement procedures established by Congress under the act and stretch the meaning of the statute in such a way as to threaten due process of law. Although Judge Merchan wouldn't permit the leading expert on campaign finance to provide this testimony, he did let someone else speak in the court on this issue and others, Michael Cohen. Michael Cohen, a convicted perjurer, someone even his former lawyer said you couldn't trust.
The fact that they have to rely on Michael Cohen for anything, goes to show that this case is an absolute sham. This man is a pathological liar. He was caught lying on the witness stand many different times. This man is as far away from credible as humanly possible. I cannot think of anyone worse to have as a witness. Like, who are we gonna have next on the stand? Pinocchio? Because this has just gone way too far.
Lied to the FBI and lied to the court. It's not often you have a witness that can lie to all three branches of government and then become the star witness in the prosecution of a former president. But that's exactly what took place in New York. It is clear Manhattan District Judge Juan Merchan's decisions, guided by political bias, unfairly prejudiced the outcome of the trial and violated President Trump's due process rights. Bragg's prosecution of President Trump, with the help of Judge Merchan, opened the door for politically motivated prosecutions, and it will not be easy to undo the damage that's already been done. As we have seen, other ambitious prosecutors have followed Bragg's lead and pursued politically motivated indictments against the former president. Rather than debate political opponents on substance, the Democrats' strategy to win the 2024 election is through the use of partisan, lawfare tactics. These politically motivated local prosecutions raise substantial federal interest and potential collusion between federal and state authorities. And that is precisely why we are here today. Alvin Bragg's prosecution of President Trump was personal, it was based on politics, and it was wrong. I now recognize the ranking member for an opening statement.
I agree with everything that man just said, except for the sheer fact that it doesn't come from Alvin Bragg. It comes from somewhere much higher, even higher than Joe Biden, I would say. This comes from a shadow government, the ones calling the shots, ones that just cannot stand Donald Trump because he fights back against everything that they hold dear. Donald Trump is not standing up for himself. He's taking these flings and arrows every single day, not for himself, for us. He could be sitting there on a freaking beach in Cancun, but he's deciding to spend his time in a courtroom and in a jail cell just for us. That goes to show what this man is truly all about. He lost $1 billion. $1 billion while president of the United States. How many people alive would sacrifice $1 billion and go to jail and go through all of this slanderous behavior on a day-to-day basis just to help people that he doesn't even personally know? I would reckon he's probably the only one on the planet. I can't think of anyone else. Maybe Elon Musk, but he's from South Africa, so he can't be president. But that just goes to show what this man is truly all about. Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, they would never go through so much sacrifice for the American people. In fact, they're attacking and going after Americans on a day-to-day basis through their horrific policies that just make our lives so much worse. If they can do that to Donald Trump, they can do that to every single one of us, and we don't have the resources that he has to fight back. But I want to know, what do you guys think about all this? Do you think this comes from Alvin Bragg, or do you think it comes from someplace higher like I think? I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, make sure to smash that like, comment, subscribe, and wish you guys nothing but the best. Till next time.